The day that dropped into their media ecosystem, like I remember walking out of my house and I was being inundated by far right influencers. Like, why do you hate Nashville? Why do you hate Nashville? And then to go pick up my car, Fox News has a tracker of like how much does Aftyn Behn hate Nashville?
What's up, guys? This episode is brought to you by Lab Canna, our new studio sponsor. Lab Canna is focused on doing the right things the right way. High quality lab tested hemp-derived products with real emphasis on transparency and consistency. Everything that they put out is backed by data, so you actually know what you're getting every time. What sets them apart from the rest is their attention to detail. From sourcing and testing the final product, it's all built around people who care about quality and trust and, all those great things. We're proud to have Lab Canna sponsoring the studio and helping us keep this platform growing. Make sure you go check out their location here on Gallatin Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Check out their socials and all that good stuff. Thanks a lot, guys. What's up, guys? Today on the Joint Efforts podcast, we're sitting down with Tennessee State Representative Aftyn Behn. Aftyn has been one of the voices pushing the conversation around cannabis reform here in Tennessee, including the idea behind Pot for Potholes, using legal cannabis revenue to help fund roads and infrastructure. We get into Tennessee politics, legalization, public pressure, small business, and what it actually takes to move cannabis forward in this state. This is going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss it. Let's get into it.
Welcome to today's episode of Joint Efforts. Today we have Aftyn Behn, local state legislator and superwoman.
That probably will not be on my epitaph, but thank you.
Okay, well, put it on your CV. You can say
my epitaph is she did everything out of spite. No, yes. wait, hold on. I'm gonna mess it up. Oh, okay, keep going.
We can work on that later.
Oh, I did everything through spite, which strengthens me.
Ooh, I see what you did there. So, Aftyn, I've been around for a little bit of it. I've got to see a little bit of it. I wasn't necessarily there for some of it, but before you were a legislator, you were something else. And
I'm sure that's what some of my Republican colleagues said as well.
Yeah, well, you can say somebody's something else, and you can mean that in a couple different ways. And it's not like to me, it's not necessarily bless your heart, because I've been called something else too. But I think something else can mean good too, right? So when I say you were something else, like that means you were something other than what we were used to, right, up there at legislature. Yeah. And so I was telling Aftyn beforehand that I thought it'd be funny to have it be from the balcony to the floor, because Aftyn was originally an advocate up there working bills and working legislators without ever, doing a lot of that, if I'm correct,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Much like myself.
Yes.
So how did you go from a regular person, because so many people that are in the world don't get too involved in politics. But some people eventually, like, something triggers something inside of you to do something and to go there and to be active. What was it for you?
Well, I was in Switzerland. I'll go back to 2016 because it's important. I was in Switzerland when Trump was elected the first time, and had been working at the UN. And I remember thinking, like, what am I doing here? I feel so compelled to go home, unlike a lot of my American colleagues that could not understand what had happened. And I go home, I tell my parents at dinner, I take my parents out to dinner. I tell them I want to get involved in Tennessee politics, and my mom starts crying so hard she has to be escorted out of the restaurant. They were horrified because here I had been working at this prestigious organization. I had the perfect job, was out of the country, and they're like, "You want to move back to Appalachia?" Really? Okay. But I couldn't explain it. It was just this tethering, this groundedness I felt being home and knowing that I wanted to spend the next decade and probably compounded decades together. We're in Tennessee to move the state forward. So I ended up getting a community organizing job at the Tennessee Justice Center, which some of your listeners may know of, and community organized across the state. And so I was providing information about the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid to Tennesseans across the state. And then the following year, we tried to expand Medicaid again. And so I was in the legislature. And I remember one particular conversation with a sitting state senator who's still there. And I remember explaining to him the economic benefits of expanding Medicaid in his district. And he looked at me and he said, "I'll never vote for that because it's a liberal policy promulgated by a black man."
Yeah.
And I just remember like, oh, this isn't gonna work, right? And so
Made 0 sense, didn't it?
well, and like
It's like, hold on, this is federal money for the people of America
that we're paying into.
that we're all paying into, but we're just going to say no because of the president at the time.
Yes. And so they're intransigent. I realized they're not going to move, and they haven't. I mean, they really haven't. So my radicalization journey was, I'm going to lobby as much as possible. And I know you've had, probably your moments where you're like, why am I pushing up? It's like one must imagine Sisyphus happy pushing the boulder up because it's just it's a feat. So they said, we're not going to vote for that. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to learn how to unseat you. So I spent 4 to 6 years learning all I could about how to run campaigns, how to run elections, or how to run campaigns. And it was at that point where I realized, like, oh, we're outspent 4 or 5 to 1. They have created an electoral autocracy. So Tennessee's no longer a democracy. And I laugh that it's like Kim Jong-un celebrating an election every time he wins. It's like, my brother in Christ, you created the map.
Yeah.
This congratulatory circle jerk is hilarious because you all did this. Why are you winning districts that are 80-20?
And if you want to run as GOP in our state, you also have to have a clean GOP voting record for, what is it, 4 voting cycles, I think?
I mean, it's so obediently insane.
Yeah. So it's like, if someone like myself was like, oh, I'm going to run as GOP, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a clean R record. It's
the fealty is, and apparently they make any Republican voter that pulls a Republican ballot, there's some type of obedience script that they have to read to the election commission. I mean, it is fanatic. So after that experience, we all have this moment, and I would love to hear what yours was when you decided, I am done with Tennessee politics. Do not call me. Do not talk about it. I don't want to know, right? And so I say Tennessee politics is like the Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah.
And so in April of 2023, we had a school shooting. Mm-hmm. The Tennessee 3 saga unfolded, and there's a group of us in Nashville that are considered professional organizers, or my colleagues might call paid protesters, which jokes on you.
Yeah.
You are the paid
Soros
protester.
pays for your life, right? Yeah.
Maximum eye roll. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've got lots of paychecks from protest.
Yeah, I'm like, where is my paycheck?
Please, at least my gas.
Please. So a bunch of us were called in. I went on a leave of absence from work for 12 days to help organize these direct actions around the Capitol. And it was that moment of the night of the expulsions. We held a press conference. MSNBC, CNN, Italian national television was tuning in. Don't ask me why. And we're waiting for the Tennessee 3 to come tell their story. And I'm not going to get in, but basically I had this moment where an epiphany where I thought, you know what, I deserve to be up here just as much as everyone else. And so that's when I ran in 2023, and I've been a legislator ever since. But for your listeners, I think the exciting moment was in 2019. I was arrested in the balcony protesting a former Republican House member who had sexually molested underage girls as a basketball coach, and was drowned out by cowbell as I was Avita on the Casa Rosada, holding on for dear life.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments up at Legislature.
Were you there?
Yeah, no, but I remember it being a thing where everybody was like, "Did you see what happened yesterday?"
And you know what? None of the members have brought it up to me at all. I think that's kind of funny. Is they had these trust me, I'm an organizer first, and I want to be clear that there is a disparity between an organizer and an activist. I am no longer an activist. I am an organizer and a legislator, but I'm still a troll. I love to troll. I love to I live under the bridge. I'm a more polished troll, right?
Same. I'm not as polished. People probably wish I would quit Facebook commenting on their stuff, but I can't.
I get it. The first step's admitting you have a problem.
Yeah, I have friends that actually follow me to the point where anytime I comment on something, they get a notification. You know one of those friends.
What do you?
Oh, I get on the House Republican page every other day.
Isn't that bad? For your
for me personally, no. I mean, it's me personally, and I just try to put accountability out there. So it's when they're like, "Oh, look at how good our state's doing," it's like, no, you're not. You're in a deficit, and look, you're taking.
You just decimated the hemp industry. Thank you for nothing. The hemp industry.
You're taking money from my daughter's future in public schools. You're forcing me to have to think about sending her to a private school. It just doesn't. None of it makes sense. Yeah. Well, it's been fun to watch. I'll say that. I would imagine even if you ask some of the troopers that arrested you that day. Yeah. Have you seen them again and talked to them about it?
They give me, they're good sports. They're really good sports. And they deal, I feel for them because they have to deal with the politics of the place. But they're great. They treat us, they treat us really well. Now, I would say my constituents are the ones that protest the most because they're the most proximate to the Capitol, and that could be problematic as things get more aggressive and scary.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm really grateful. We've had a lot of good laughs. So
yeah, and they do a really good job of protecting everyone up there. That's my thing, and yeah, I've had good run-ins with them across the board. And I don't know. Have you ever heard the story about whenever I got to talk to the state troopers that closely that day? Well, a certain guy in leadership, and I may have made a phone call to their church and followed the law very closely of harassing a legislator just to find out some information. Why? Because I wanted to go to their church. Grew up going to church, still go to church from time to time. Wanted to see what this church was made of. And ended up getting to talk to him and one of the state troopers up there at the Capitol in the Senate gallery stairway one day. And that state trooper basically said thank you after the legislator had walked away, the state trooper said thank you for all the work you've been doing up here for
Oh wow. Oh wow. So there was some
and it's
admission.
Yeah, and it's one of the state troopers that you'd be like, real? That guy? And he's pretty far up there. So it was there is some support going on in the background too. The legislators, yeah, it's been a problem, but I think that's a segue to the future, right? So people like us that have seen Tennessee landscape and just how controlled and from the top, right? And at the top in our state, a lot of people assume the top is the governor. Top in our state kind of is the governor, but really it's the person who's been at the very top the longest just underneath them, and that's the lieutenant governor.
Yeah.
They control legislature. They pretty well control and deal with the governor's office as well. And now for the first time in really my political life, we're getting a renaissance there with the announcement of retirement of our current Lieutenant Governor, Randy.
Well, and I think we will see a mass exodus of those with the most seniority the next 4 to 8 years when the state's collapsing. Like, it is collapsing on itself with bad decisions around privatization and underfunding, understaffing. And I think a lot more legislators will consider retirement. And I think that provides us an opportunity for a transition and or shift on our issues. And so one of the, key, I guess, tenets of our relationship, or core tenets of our relationship, is obviously marijuana policy. Mm-hmm. And I hope that with these retirements, that this dogma of war on drugs, this kind of antiquated neoconservatism retires as well, and we are able to enter a period of, maybe questioning that dogma and or, opening, creating opportunities for more conversations about what legalization would look like.
Maybe we just move a little closer than all the way extended as far as we can, right?
I mean, it's such a radical position that they have taken.
Yeah.
And especially, and I'm sure you've discussed at length the decimation of the hemp industry. And I don't know if you want to surface any of the drama behind that, but it was
rough. It's been rough. It's been years of roughness. House leadership. And when you look back at it, it's pretty incredible how it was done.
Like when they want to do things, they can do it.
Yeah, and it's like, and I think I was kind of blind, but at the same time, when he said, or one of the legislators said a comment, he said he was in committee and he was being asked questions, and he was like, "Yeah, smoke him if you got him," and I'm thinking, that's not right for you to say that. Like, you're not the person to say that. You're up to no good. And it's like, and that's exactly what happened. Just so everybody's aware, a bill goes through at least a couple committees, sometimes more. And through those committees, you have people on the committees that should be knowledgeable about the committees. And they make changes to those bills to affect it based off their knowledge, to positively affect the bills based off their knowledge, and having people come before them and answer questions. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened with this bill. But then when it went to the floor, and this happened in 23 and in 25, when it went to the floor, it was then fully amended, meaning that all the language was struck and new language was inserted after the committees, not including committee language. And to me, that is it's legislative mischief, if nothing, at the very least, right? And it's allowed by rule, by policy or whatever, but I don't think that's the way that it was intended to be used.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I can remember, I can't remember her name. She stood up and basically said, that this is stripping the legislative process. And it's like, I'm just wanting to scream it from the balconies, but I know I can or I'll get arrested.
And that's when they pearl clutch as a response to our response, like when we're upset about their shenanigans. And it's like, you don't think destroying a Black congressional district mid-cycle is reason enough to be upset? Like, the degradation of the procedural processes, and then you scream about rules? Like, it's hypocrisy. It is raw, naked hypocrisy. And I have never felt more gaslit than in that building, where you're just like, everything's fine. Everyone can afford life. Our hemp industry is thriving.
I've been there that day, one of those days as well. Because I'm a cannabis first policy guy, but like, just the shenanigans that have gone on up there for years in regards to education and immigration.
And let's talk about, I did want to bring up with you, not to put you on the spot, because I think you do have an intersectional perspective that you carry with you as a lobbyist. And you're not a lobbyist first, but my biggest issue is the lobbying class. They have been complicit in this now, we are no longer a democracy in this state, and they're looking around like, oh, things are pretty bad. And I didn't see one lobbyist maybe one or two. But for the most part, they weren't there during the special session because it wasn't their issue. And they don't want to lose their relationships with these members. And it's like, I'm really upset. Like,
The only legislator's office I took a picture in front of when I was in D.C. was Steve Cohen's. Only legislator.
Well, you're from here, so that tracks.
Well, I didn't care about the rest of them. I looked at the picture like last week. I was giddy as a little schoolboy outside of his office because I've followed his policy since then. And so, yeah, it doesn't just make me mad to lose Steve. It is absolutely disgraceful that they would do what they did.
And then they're, pearl clutching about the protest and the noise. And it's like, you created the circus. Like, this is your
leadership has so much control too of our state. It's just like people from these small areas of Tennessee controlling what happens
in Nashville.
In Nashville and trying to control more.
Yeah, which I wrote a Substack about how Nashville is under occupation, and it's very true. And it's like they have
restricted city council, stripped city council, basically. Let's not even say restricted, they stripped it.
But I think that there's only so long you can go with scapegoating immigrants and trans kids before people look around and realize there's no one left to blame.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is like, we are in the culminating moment. And I saw this session in particular, fractures in their coalition with their own party. So I sit on the agricultural committee, and there were conservative conservationists that wanted to pass protections for the Duck River. Mm-hmm. And they were in opposition to the agriculture committee chair who wanted more protections for corporations. And they were, this small subset, this cohort of conservatives who were card-carrying Republicans were very vocal about, their opposition. And then in Scott County, a corporation was trying to expand a landfill, and these Scott County residents came up every day. I mean, I saw them finger pointing in Republicans' faces. And it's like, so now these issues are bleeding into their constituencies, and it's only going to get worse. I mean, we are going to face an unprecedented budget crisis next year. Mm-hmm. There is no new revenue being generated, job loss due to automation. The next governor will have to come in and probably choose to cut 100,000 people off of Medicaid, 10-care state.
Sweetheart deals with out-of-state businesses that don't uphold their end and have no obligations or requirements to do so.
Right? Yeah. Like, so I'm seeing shifts in the zeitgeist, and like, that's what makes me really excited as an organizer. And that's what I plan to take advantage of, to create these opportunities, to kind of capitalize on the tension, to create opportunities in which we can bring people. I don't give a shit what party I don't care what your politics are, but we need responsive government.
Yes.
Government needs to be for the people, by the people, not for corporate lobbyists.
And not just doing state-based things to bend and kiss the knee either, or kiss the foot. Yeah. Like Aftyn, to me, when you look across our state and you think of just, how many churches per square mile, and I'm not a deeply religious person, but I was raised Baptist.
You have that vibe.
4 days. Oh, I could have been a youth pastor, I was told early in life. Glad I wasn't. But it's just wild to me that you have so much hate for your fellow human if you go to church and you believe in all the things and like Jesus' teachings, and even in just any religion, I don't care what religion really, but our state is based around that. And so it's like, it blows my mind that people still vote, and it's not a love vote. There's no love there. No. And it's like,
this is what we've always done, or our parents voted this way.
And it's just like, oh man. And I wish people were more sensitive to understanding how industrialized propaganda is at this point. It's not even like commercialized. It's like industrialized. It is rooted deep. And it's causing all sorts of problems. And it's going to cause more in states like ours that keep going that route of just hate and taking away. And like I said, it's going to bend and break. I just hope it breaks, and we get to see that fruit that's in the middle, which is like people loving each other and like a community aspect, rather than, the idea of, I've thought about it myself, where it's like, it could get, like, how bad could it get? It's like,
Oh, it's going to get worse.
I could, I'd have to go to a Democratic grocery store only because I voted that way. Like, I mean, it could get really bad. You know? I mean, like the two-party system, maybe we've not seen the worst of it, But yeah, so anyways, let's transfer a little bit. Pot for potholes. Probably my favorite branding for a bill. I've seen it a few different ways, and Brian Terry and his Trump medical bill, and pot for potholes. Like, and I loved how you brought it out the very first year, and you're like, I know this is like this is really just a traction thing, right? And it's continued and it's grown, and like more people ask
organizing efforts.
Yes, totally through it. And like I got it on my computer, people see it, and so like. And it's gained more and more and more traction. And people always ask me, when are we going to get this? And I'm like, well, it's Aftyn's bill. So, and it's not that you can't pass a bill. It's that it's really difficult as a Democrat in Nashville to pass a bill, and they see that as a partisan issue.
But I would be honored if a Republican took the bill and passed it. Like, if it's going to materially improve our lives, I don't give a shit.
Pass the bill. Pass the bill.
But the problem is once again, it is about antiquated dogma. They do not want to diversify our revenue streams. And I will tell you, there are a few Republicans who I think are finally getting it that like there is no new money to generate. And we are in a soft recession now. We could be in a full-blown depression with 300 million jobs being automated the next decade. Things are going to get financially hairy. And the smart Republicans are the ones that are going to realize that small businesses are suffering. We have to stop giving these corporate incentives. We have to diversify our revenue streams by closing corporate loopholes.
Yes.
And legalizing pot to bring in a brand new revenue stream that is stable at $300, $500 million a year.
Yep.
And they don't want to do it.
It's wild. And it's really just that when you get down to the nitty gritty with them, it's a partisan issue. That's what it is. They're like, that's what the liberals want. And it's like, no, it's not.
But there are Republicans who want legalization.
100%. Yeah.
And it's just and that's what people don't understand about the supermajority. And I don't think supermajorities, like, it breeds herd mentality. Like, it does not create any opportunities for dissent.
At least I think we got more dissent right now than ever, though, right?
Yeah.
Actually, right now it's kind of wonderful. It's like we got factions. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I love Republican on Republican fighting. It's like catnip for me. Like, I'm like because you can pull out and surface observations that help me organize, right? So I'm like, okay, where are the fractures? So for example, Monty Fritz, who's running for governor, is a current House member, I guess is now retiring because he's running for governor. He's convinced he's going to win, by the way, I felt really bad because like I knew I wasn't going to win the congressional race because I've actually run hard races before.
You're so close and you got my vote.
Oh, thank you, Clint. Thank you. And as I walked up to him on the House floor, and so I was like, how's the race going? How's the campaigning going? He's like, oh, good. And I said, well, what are you going to do? What are you using this campaign for so that when you don't win? And he's like, oh, I'm going to win. I'm like, oh, okay.
Like, no offense. Have you seen the endorsements? And they're like, neither one of them got, yeah.
But to his credit, so and like for your listeners, not that you care about the internecine fighting between the Republicans, but like I think it's fascinating. So Monty Fritz is running as like, his words, not mine, but a Christian nationalist. And the organizing that he's doing is really, it's penetrating. I have seen his yard signs in hard to reach places.
Same.
And he's running with these like prayer circles, like it's kind of an undercurrent of Christian nationalism. Yeah. That like, so he's tapped into this network and he's fully utilizing it. And so like, it's very impressive that like his organizing is very impressive on this race. Then you have John Rose, who's, very wealthy, is running ads right now. Considered the more moderate.
That's a unique backstory, one could say.
I try not to pry into people's personal lives, but
you don't have to pry hard to find that. You know, and
I'm 36 and not married, and if I got married, I'd feel like a child bride. Like, I'm 36. What am I, a child bride? Like, and
I'm 42 and never been married. What am I?
but it's like, she was actually a child bride. So.
Yeah, and they met then. But yeah.
And then I think the other observation about the Republican primary, which is important for your listeners to know, is like, Marsha Blackburn, whether you hate her or love her, she's very polarizing on either side. She has built the infrastructure and sustained that infrastructure around her for the past 20 years. So she's cashing in on all of her political chips, which is why she's going to win. Like, she is using everything, everything that she has built the last 30 years, she is now cashing in on so that she can live in the governor's mansion. And so
that's like, to me, I've thought about it a lot, and I'm like, why Marsha? Like,
it's a hard job. You're going to be responding to ongoing natural disasters.
She doesn't respond to anybody. She doesn't do town halls. Like, she has the most cush. I mean, she's got good committee
being in the Senate is the cushiest job in American politics.
Exactly. Why are you going to go become governor? Other than to ruin my life and everyone else that lives here.
And, implement her secret police force, which we now passed. So I think things are going to get really dark. I think activists and organizers, they will start arresting activists and organizers.
Balaclava's coming back out, you say?
And the material, like the economic conditions are going to deteriorate. For the record.
Yeah, I would say definitely.
So, I mean, where does that leave, like, your audience? I mean, not to relive the hemp, what are we calling it? Hempgate?
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I mean, sure, we can call it
situationship.
Hemp situationship.
But it's like, what, I've been grappling with, like, how the state has navigated and managed the situation is abhorrent. Like, it is so sad, and it speaks to big liquor, corporate lobbyists that your state has been bought and sold to. The war on small businesses, because our tax code discriminates against small businesses, right? The regulatory framework, when they say, like, oh, we're not big government, yeah, you are. Yeah, you've made everything harder. Mm-hmm. It is harder to fill a pothole. It is harder to get a driver's license. Yep. Like, you are making things harder by expanding the bureaucratic state, and so you have lost any reputation around.
And at the same time, taking advantage of your citizens, but then giving all the corporate buyouts on the side, and it's like, man, it's like it's a bunch of sellouts. That's what it is, and the people that are doing it I would love to see some giant billboards in a couple cities in Tennessee that just laid out what some of these legislators have done to our state. Yeah. Just put it on the billboard so that when people go and vote, they know what these people have done. I've been told I shouldn't do it. I think it should be done. It's $300 if you're curious. I've called a
lot of billboards in my day, and yes, they have worked. Yeah. So I'm not mad about the investment.
If you're curious to call her, you can give me a call.
But I do think this is a moment for the hemp industry to come together and push, like, what is, maybe you know more than I do, but, like, my hope is that with the retirements the next few years, like, we could usher in or maybe not full legalization, but medicinal. And how do we get there? But I think someone like you, who has a historic memory of the hemp and marijuana organizing in the state, it's like, it's just been kind of blocked at every turn. And I don't know, now it's like the industry is so decimated that if it was legalized, like, I have a feeling that they would allow pharmacists to sell medicinal, because the pharmacy, there's like 6 pharmacists.
I gotta update you on this.
Yeah, tell me. Oh, you can't get on the pod. Can you do it on the pod?
Yeah, so I got to totally update you on it. It was all on public record. So, I was appointed to the Medical Marijuana Commission, and then I was kicked off the commission by someone in House leadership who made the call to the governor's office.
Because of your comments on Facebook?
No, because of my phone call to their church. That's what was used against me. I guess it was a personality issue. My CV didn't matter as much anymore. Anyways, I've been to all those commission meetings over the years. So I continued to go to them despite not being on there. I was only on there for like 3 weeks. right before they came back fully formed. But then they needed a bill written, and they didn't have anybody to write it.
Oh.
And there I sit with a smile on my face, like, you guys are calendaring this for the days where the two people that could write the bill can't be here, and we just got these guys, physicians and pharmacists that honestly don't know much and can't write a bill. That's what we're going to schedule around. Great. I'll write a bill. So I wrote a bill over the weekend while I had my daughter. And every time she took a nap, went to bed, I was writing this bill and got the bill to them, worked them. Anyways, got it to Feral Hell after standing at a podium for several days with them. And so now it got canceled basically to summer study, which normally a lot of stuff gets canceled to summer study.
And so, but we had heard that like that bill, there'd be a little more urgency around it last session. And you're saying that like they stalled and now it's in summer study.
It was not necessarily stalled. So a lot of several members of the commission.
And summer study for the listeners is your bill goes to purgatory. It's dead.
Generally speaking, they send a lot of bills to summer study and they spend time on like 5, right? 3 to 5 maybe.
What's up, guys? This episode is brought to you by Lab Canna, our new studio sponsor. If you're serious about quality, Lab Canna is doing it right. Lab tested, dialed in, and built around transparency and consistency. No shortcuts, no guesswork, just solid products you can trust. We're hyped to have them backing the studio and what we're building here. Come hang out with us at their location in East Nashville and check out their sites and socials and hit those links in the bios. Love you guys. What's up, guys? This episode is brought to you by the Terp Chaser Club. For the people who actually care about terp profiles, flavor, and overall experience, this is your lane. The Terp Chaser Club is built around quality and a deep appreciation for the craft side of this culture. If you're paying attention to what you're consuming, you already know the difference. Tap into the Terp Chaser Club, link in the bio, check out their Instagram, their website. We're big fans of theirs. They help us out, we help them out. It's all a big, beautiful ecosystem here. Thank you, guys.
Anyways, this one got sent summer, but Feral Hell is the one that ran it, and he is adamant that it's going to be one of the bills that's given time at summer study. Don't have a date, obviously, yet, but fingers crossed. It's a ugly bill. Why is it an ugly bill written by me? Well, because I've been a part of ugly bills ever since 2016. And I don't say that because I'm proud of it, but I've wanted a bill to be across the line, because if a bad bill in 2016 had passed, we'd be a long way down the road.
And when you mean bad, like for your listeners, and I'm also curious, like what are the inflection points of contention? Like where are you conceding from my side versus their side?
Right. So
I'm sure it's licenses, right?
It's a lot of things. You know
like,
what I mean?
what are the big buckets?
Big bucket for me stuff is I think that people should be able to do it at home.
Okay, so
and I think that a caregiver should be able to do it for them. I don't think always other people know how to do something better. Sometimes when you're giving people, oh, this is a multi-million-dollar business model, all they care about is money and not about the patients. Patients care about patients. Their wives and husbands care about them more than the state ever will, or some grower ever will. Not saying there's not good growers out there. I'm a good grower too. I know when I can spray and when I can't. But having access to that is huge for me. That's a big part of it. Access to the products that people are comfortable with is another one. And I think that may be one of the reasons why they...
And this is for medicinal, correct?
Right, for medicinal only. And so the bill has no smokable in it, no flower. And so, you know, as someone who just is a traditionalist, I think that if someone's dying of cancer and their pharmacist or whoever wants to write them a recommendation or prescription to smoke some joints before they pass, let them smoke some joints before they pass. Because do you know what? All my family has just called me and said, Clint, bring me some. So like, why not make that available for the people that don't have someone like me?
But were you saying, because you you've said this based on me saying that the pharmacists are going to sell. So
Yeah.
So that was the concession in the bill?
So one of the concessions in the bill from Federal Health is they had to be involved. And so originally when I stood up in front of the commission, they're like, well, yeah, we're just going to have the pharmacists selling FDA-approved cannabis products that are from FDA farms. And I'm like, there's no such thing as FDA farms. And if we're going to wait around for the FDA approval of drugs, we're not helping patients at all. At all.
Yeah.
So what I worked with them on was create a pipeline as a hybrid system where it's you have have your pharmacist and your FDA approved and all that, and they can get that there. Of course they can. But for patient access and to get this to the people rather than waiting 3 to 5 years or 7 or 8, 9 for drug development, give them a hybrid option where they can actually go to a dispensary and call it whatever you want to.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care what you call it, wellness center, whatever. If you think dispensary is a bad word, don't call it that. But the pharmacists are still involved in that. The initial consultation is required. But what they originally wanted was a pharmacist to be on staff all the time.
Yeah, I imagine. Like they're trying to expand, which...
It's made up by a bunch of pharmacists making the decision.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so I can't
and
tell
how much power are they going to accumulate as opposed to the small business owners? I will say, I mean, to kind of pull this back to a 30,000-foot view for your listeners, like what really bothers me, I think the hemp situationship, it illustrates the lack of radical imagination. And I experienced this with voters in Tennessee. I think when I've knocked doors across the state in rural communities, asking them, what does a world look like without GoFundMe healthcare? What does a world look like where you have access to marijuana because you have fibromyalgia, you have an autoimmune disorder? And it's like they can't even imagine that world because the best that the supermajority has convinced Tennesseans that this is the best we can do. And they have that same attitude in the legislature. I mean, every time I present for potholes, it's like, we could never close corporate tax loopholes. I'm like, Texas did it.
Remember Texas, guys? Every time that like gun laws become a big thing, y'all try and battle them on who's got the worst gun laws.
But it's just like, states have done this. States have done hard things. And so a lot of my organizing, and I feel so clear about the next decade of my work, which is helping people imagine a world. And a lot of that is situated within my infatuation of the New Deal. And Frances Perkins, who was the head of the Department of Labor under FDR, she was a social worker. Like I'm a social worker.
Big fan of FDR.
And they imagine these, like none of these things existed. The Tennessee Valley Authority didn't exist, and they imagined it, and they fucking built it. And like, that is the type of imagination and creativity that this moment is going to require. Mm-hmm. And I hope that as this antiquated dogma just breaks and, we're there as dreamers and visionaries saying there is a different path, and let us go down that path together.
I'm remaining very hopeful like you. I feel like I'm a constant optimist.
Oh, I'm a pessimism of the intellect, optimism of the will.
Okay, that's yeah.
But a pragmatist, a political pragmatist, and you have to be in a state like Tennessee. You can't be a purist. It doesn't work.
Yeah. I'm close to purist, but I've worked across the aisle so much that you have to. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and I have great relationships with Republicans, and it's because, I can compartmentalize the individual from the politics. And as a community organizer and as a social worker, you are trained to understand that you don't blame the individual, you blame the collective. Like you blame the system. Blame the system, not the individual. And so, with these, I see the humanity in them. I truly do. But like their actions during the special session. I mean, they knew it was bad, and you would have laughed if you had seen me.
Oh, I was watching.
Well, but inside Cordell Hull, like I became such a goblin. Like I was yelling at people in the
elevator?
Oh my God!
You were
There
yelling
was
at them
one.
in the elevator?
There were two Republicans who shall not be named in an elevator, and I saw them like get in really quick, and the door was closing, and all they saw, I'm sure, were like my acrylic nails coming through, and I pulled the door open, and I go, "You better not vote for these bills, or I'm never talking to you again." And I just stepped back, and they're like. I was a menace. Like I would get out of the elevator, people would just start scurrying to the rooms because I was like, this is going to be uncomfortable for you. If you're going to vote for this.
It was so gross.
It was
you had
so
people that
gross.
were remaining quiet and then showing up with a Trump flag on their back, and it was like,
Read the room.
dude.
Read the room.
I was, and then the grilling. I did love the grilling. The grilling to me was like so satisfying because it's like when you know you're up against such a mountain.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is try to show some aspect of accountability.
And make it as politically toxic for them as possible.
Yes. The cicadas, don't know who thought of that. Wonderful idea.
No comment.
I was dying laughing, sitting in my office, watching that go down. Like when they went to the room view, I was like, I lost it.
Wait, so what? Can you tell me what happened? Like, because I was experiencing it from a different vantage point. Because my role was to try to make sure the protesters were being quiet during the testimony.
Yeah.
Because that's what, like, and I don't know if you saw me running around, but I was like trying to make sure that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened?
Yeah, bad luck. You can't control people that are that upset. So good try.
Thank you. But the room view showed what?
Whenever they all got kicked out and then the cicadas started going off, the tree got like 6 or 8 troopers up there just like looking for these cicadas that are going off. Oh, it was. The events of the day were terrible, right?
Yeah.
But you got to see some positive in some stuff every now and then and laugh at, to me, that's just like a great public joke.
I think I looked up and I saw a state trooper, and they looked like Tamagotchis. Like, they looked, but like the state trooper was like, because apparently, like, you couldn't, I don't know how the sound stopped, but like,
couldn't get them to stop.
It's like, oh my God.
I don't know if y'all have seen that. Go back and watch it.
Oh my God, sorry.
Yeah.
It was good times.
Terrible, but at the same time, funny moments.
And also, like, mask off. Like, I think a lot of the legislators that felt as if they were, their acquiescence was being rewarded. It's like, for what? Now your congressional district is gone.
Yeah.
Right? And like, we're in the big league. So the next few years are going to be really dark, but I do think that Tennessee, the pendulum is going to swing, and it's going to swing so hard here because they are not, if they were expanding the welfare state to ensure that all the, poor white folks in these counties had access to health care, this would be a different conversation, but they're not giving anyone a bone.
I agree.
So the pendulum's going to swing, and that's when I will absolutely run for higher office. All the work that I'm doing right now is not for anything. And I think that's another thing that, like,
Senator Behn?
I don't know. I mean,
Congressional? What are we thinking?
I don't know.
I like you staying stateside.
The role of
I'm just
governor,
being selfish.
Oh, I love that. I mean, think about the role of governor, though. You will have to negotiate the next 10 years. You'll be negotiating water rights with Mississippi and Arkansas. Like, it is a different type of role, and that's and also to speak to like being a legislator in the year 2026. Like, I think about, when was Nashville named the IT city? Was it 2010?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Was it 2010?
Not long after Nashville came. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and it was like the show Nashville and Connie Britton, and like, politicians were like going to the CMA Fest, and it's like my days, I wake up, I deal with deportations, prison deaths, DCS deaths, unemployment. Like, it is
nothing.
It is not sexy anymore. And I think and anytime anyone comes to ask me, like, should I run for office? I'm like, it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not sexy. It is my duty because it's my duty to serve this country and this state. And I feel like Liam Neeson when I say
I'm
this.
glad you feel that way.
I do. But like, I have a very unique skill set.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
to survive authoritarianism and like move the country forward. Like, I truly feel that I like everything in my life has led to this moment. And I'm so honored to be in the legislature. And as much as, and like, I also love my constituents. Like, you have to understand, my constituents,
Oh, I know you got some ballers over there.
they have my back. Like, when I ran for Congress, they did not.
Oh, I know, they were annoying me, and I'm like, I'm voting for her. I know her. And they're like, message 3 days later, I'm like, y'all, good work. You got my vote.
The relational organizing that took place, like hairdressers were flipping votes and like rural. I mean, I was like, gas station. Like, I have never seen
people on Briley. You know.
I mean, I don't know what happened there. But
You had a billboard out there that was like, I forget the like, what have they done for you? I forget what it was, something like that.
Like, I fully, and you know, I blacked out. Like, I didn't see. I was like. It was a different experience for me on the other end, but like, I will say the day that the New York Times reported that the RNC had a 70-page dossier on me, which I'm sure they had a dossier on like all the Democratic candidates. I bet it's thick.
Without even being anything.
I bet it's thick. The day that dropped into their media ecosystem, like, I remember walking out of my house and I was being inundated by far right influencers. Like, why do you hate Nashville? Why do you hate Nashville? And then to go pick up my car, Fox News has a tracker of like, how much does Aftyn Behn hate Nashville? I mean, it was so, and it took what broke my heart. I didn't want my constituents to think, you know, that I hated the city, and it's been, you know, and what I
remember it very well.
It was awful, and what's very funny is like I have a trauma response from the campaign, which is like, you caught me on a day where I'm not wearing country western wear, but like I've probably bought 30 Pearl Snap shirts like since December 2nd.
Really?
Because I'm like, I don't want anyone to think I hate country music, and I was conceived after a George Strait concert, so like, joke's on you. Joke's on you.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you know what happened, it was taken out of context, and yeah.
And people and like Nashvillians had my back, and they understood the, you know, the diatribe. They understood that like the issues we have with the city, you can't complain about a city if you don't love it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you live in Nashville, you are fully entitled to complain about the traffic every day of your life.
And it's like the same about Southerners being, you know, we're the only ones allowed to complain about the South. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules, but that's it.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, you complain about it, but you also fight for it. And then if they had played the final section of that monologue, it was a call to arms. Like, I got involved with municipal politics, which I didn't care for before that moment. And I'm like, this is why I'm getting more involved. And I doubled down and I ran for office and I cared, like, and I still care about this city. And I'm like fighting for, you know, you get it. You get it.
Yeah, you have fully talked me out of being a legislator.
Well, thank God.
But I mean, seriously, like, and I don't mean that I was ever considering running or anything stupid like that. But just like, for a lot of people, we're passionate about something, right?
Yeah. And to find your skill and hone it and like be good at it and make sure that it's like.
Right, but you know, you have to be willing to go up there and deal with this plethora of issues, like you said, waking up to dealing with immigration and deaths and DCS and all the issues that our state has created. That is no fun. And so, like, for the viewers, it is no fun to be a legislator. They are not paid well. The people that do it for the right reasons don't have much to gain from it, because you're not like going into power for big leadership roles that pay more and do all these things. There are people that are up there that are doing it for good. Aftyn's one of them. There's people that are in the GOP that I know that are up there doing it for good. They don't need to be up there. They make plenty of money at their day job.
Well, like, and then they get up there and they have to vote with these
slime balls.
You know, the most extreme position of anything. And it's like, no one wants that.
No, that is weight I don't want on my shoulders. I might run for city council or like school council or something like that and get involved in politics someday. But to deal with what legislators have to deal with outside of legislature, like bills and doing all that and getting through session, is tough.
Yeah.
and then everything still continues after that. So all the constituents are
Some legislators.
yeah, some
Legislators bow out.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like my office is even as busy, if not more. Like I have 10 interns starting this week, and I've got them. We like figured out the campaign timeline for Potholes, and we've got a ton of tactics and actions, and they're going to be responsible for that. Ending the grocery tax, DCS reform, like all of these things, all of the work continues, and I think that's what like. It's hard for me to articulate sometimes to people who don't come from politics or organizing to understand what an organizer is. But it's like you're constantly building people's agency to take action so that you can shift the tide in a state like Tennessee. And so I do think that all of this work that I'm doing within my legislative office, and like anyone who, my worst critic will say like she's a hard worker, you know, like she works her ass off. Like, and for me, I do, and I care deeply, and I hope that people understand that like these things happen. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of money, a lot of resources. And my biggest pitch to those that are listening right now is to not choose nihilism, to not choose apathy, to understand that like even if you are, you know, a single mom or, you know, you're raising your kids, you can't deal with politics because you've got 3 little ones at home. You can do something. Right? You can do something. And so it doesn't, you know, I think people look at me and they're like, well, I couldn't possibly do everything that Aftyn does. No, probably not. But you haven't had my training. You don't have, you know.
You probably don't want to either.
And I don't have kids, right? Yeah. And like I have, and this is my life's work. So this moment requires us to have a courage and a doggedness to progress, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. I think a lot of people don't want to. I've had to give up. I had a therapy session where I just sobbed, and I'm like, fascism has stolen my joy. It has like taken time out of my life that like I could have used to be doing so many other things, and like, but this is the work. This is what is required of us. So like, if I can sacrifice, I just hit the mic. Sorry, Matt. If I can sacrifice 10 years of my life, like you can sacrifice 5 minutes to show up to a protest or write your legislator.
Amen. Amen. I try to tell you look back in history of like, when was big change made in our state? When did women get the right to vote? When did civil rights movement, you know, you look back and there is a lot of people at legislature in our history. There's a lot of people from the state that showed up there in droves. And when people show up in mass to tell their legislators to do the right thing, it happens. But we've gotten so far away from that and
the digital age is a culprit, right?
Yeah.
Like you think you see something online and like it, you were there. Like, no, I needed 10,000 people at the legislature during special session and only 200 showed up. Like it made me really, really sad. But I will say that for those of you who aren't stewards of social movements, usually it's a 70-year cycle. So women's suffrage took 70 years. Civil rights, you know, were kind of 70-year projects. And the far right now, their project is culminating. So what are we going to build for the next 70? And it's like, you know, it's going to be messy and violent and dark, but I do believe with generational shifts that like Gen Z and millennials will usher in like the most transformative change this country has seen. Because no shade to your generation, but my generation went to therapy, and we decided that we were not going to replicate the harms of everyone around us.
That's true.
Don't hate.
That's
Don't hate.
true.
I'm just, as a social worker, this is an observation that I have, is like I have seen millennials and Gen Z do a lot of work, and they've had the luxury to do a lot of that work to self-actualize. And in social work, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where if you are in survival mode and you don't have housing or food, you are not going to be able to self-actualize. And that's where our generation has thrived, and we're the ones that are going to have enough self-awareness to actually rebuild this country when it falls apart.
Yes.
So
yes, people get active because it's worth it. It's like Aftyn. It's like she said, it's been a decade. Same for me.
and we'll be in another.
You know, but it's kind of like you said. I walked into something that, you know,
You didn't know what it was. You didn't
really know what it
Yeah.
was, but I knew I was doing something good, and then it's just compounded to the point where if I was to walk away from Tennessee, like that would probably be the biggest joy for some people in House leadership. Would be for like, Clint moved on and got a job in cannabis in another state. So persistence pays off.
It does.
Right? And when you know you're doing the right thing for the right reasons, like, yeah, it might take a lifetime. There's plenty of historical stories of it taking a lifetime.
And we're planting seeds you'll never see grow.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, I'm just elated. I said I have 10 interns, but I had 20, a political internship and a legislative internship. The political kids were so cute yesterday. They showed up, 20 kids in college, and I was, Gen Z can be kind of flaky and not good.
Yeah.
They were so communicative. They didn't have their phones out at all.
Wonderful.
They were like, they were so enveloped, and they were like, Representative Behn, like, this has been the best experience. And I'm like, you know what? You all are going to have the opportunity to dramatically change the course of this country and this world. And like, I'm tired. My version of peace is laying on a beach and having a pink Motorola flip phone that doesn't have internet. I can't do that if you're not trained. And they were like, okay. We get it. Mm-hmm. So, like, train the next generation. Yes. But also, you and I, what is your version of peace, by the way? What is your...
Oh, my version of peace in my life would be having a big old cannabis garden that I operated and did breeding projects. So a lot of my background was breeding in school and PhD work and post PhD, even though I didn't graduate. So just being able to do that.
And like having a community, like community learnings and.
Yeah, still being a part of everything.
I love that.
So like I wouldn't want to walk away from all of it, but I have clients with gardens, and I was with the plant for, 20 years. So when I visit clients with plants, I walk in there like this, and just soak it up and touch the plants and rub the stems. And so yeah, that to me, that's being able to be in the garden and knowing that like I'm helping provide for people that are in need, that, ideally it's recreational and medical, right? Because if you ask me if you can have a 300 milligram edible, I sure as heck should be able to still go down the road and buy a pre-roll or whatever the heck else THC product I want, because you're not going to die from that. So having that industry be able to be successful and in the position that it deserves to be in our state. We're not a giant market. When you look at markets across the U.S., Tennessee's not a big market state.
Yeah.
But to say it doesn't deserve something just because it's not a big enough market is untrue. So like, yeah. Like I said, I'm a single policy guy. I see that encompassing a lot more. And me, I want to, myself, I want to be involved in more of that policy change. I ran a drug testing bill for a couple of years, got really close. Dawn White killed it. Don't mind saying that. She was the deciding vote.
I haven't dropped any names. So yeah, I just want to say that. I know better.
Yeah, I do know better, and so does she. So like I still want to advance all those things and be a part of the change that, because I see cannabis policy as a whole, when you look at probation and like, people making a mistake 30 days ago and getting thrown back in the slammer because it was cannabis versus all these hard drugs that they can do a few days before.
Or not being able to apply for public housing because you have some like bogus marijuana charge from 10. I mean, it's.
Yes.
And you know what? The Democratic Party was culpable.
Yes.
In that.
Yes.
Federally. Like it is, and this is what, like, I don't carry water for the Democratic Party. Like, both parties are monopolies. Both parties need to be reformed. Like, I am someone who like is an elected Democrat because one, I cherish the legacy of the Democratic Party being linked to Black legacy institutions. And for me, that is so precious and revered.
Same. I think everyone that is growing up in our state, like you were saying, the 20-year-olds of our state, please go to the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis. If you haven't, you're missing out because...
Well, and then like these independent candidates that run, I don't think they understand just how important, like there's not an understanding of history. And so for me, like divorcing myself, I would never divorce myself from the Democratic Party without an alternative option that also understands Black legacy. So that's one thing.
So you're saying we could have a third party?
I want a coalition government. Like, imagine if, like, you know, this is how it is in Europe. You have, like, eco-fascists having to compromise with environmentalists and liberals, right? And, like, it's like all of these factions, you have to come together and compromise.
It'd be fine if it was like Thailand and we had, like, so many different factions that, you know, all the cross-aisle stuff had to be, it was hard, you know, almost hard to draw a line between everything.
It would be better than what we have now.
100%.
Like, this super majority monopoly is just, and consolidation is insane. And I hope everyone that has been part of it understands just how 100 years of damage, like generational damage, because of what has been transpired at the supermajority. So
let's talk about one more thing.
Okay, yeah, we've been yapping. We're yappers.
The last thing, THCA vote. So you were there that day when a certain someone was making their rounds around the floor and rolled the bill 3 times. It was a really close vote. We don't have those in Tennessee. This year was pretty close on some of the education stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Which I was really proud to see. So many legislators standing up for what's right.
And there were 2 bills that failed, 2 Republican bills that failed on the floor.
Yep.
And those were fascinating.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Those floor votes. And do
you know what they were?
I'm trying to remember.
So one was the FedEx corporate tax break.
Yes.
Which Ryan Williams stood up and said, this is a corporate tax break, and it failed. And then the second one was the anti-union TSCA bill. So the Tennessee State Employees Union Association, sorry. There was a bill to basically cut their benefits, like paid family leave after natural disasters. And Timothy Hill? Wait, no.
Yeah.
Timothy Hill. Yeah, okay. Sorry, he has a brother that was into Christian magic, but that's a story for another day. But he stood up on the floor and said, how are you going to do this to our workers? And the bill failed. So for me, and I wrote both of them thank you notes, because I was like that, like,
yes.
Thank you. Like, you are doing the right thing, and like you are taking a heated stand against leadership, and like major respect, like kudos.
So on the floor vote of THCA, specific amendment vote, not the actual bill, the THCA amendment vote, that was the closest one. And it was the closest one for a reason. But there was Democrats that voted for that bill.
And so what was their reasoning?
Their reasoning was, and I believe I'm speaking directly, quoting them, was they were worried about their kids having access to vapes. What's odd about that is the bill also included vapes, yet they were sold a lie by a certain someone. So we had people that were, and it's the same certain someone who has stirred up a lot within the Democratic Party here recently. We also had Democrats that were present, not voting that day. And one of them was rather surprising, because you'll see him on social media sporting Cannabis Company's gear. The other, not so surprising, and I think a lot of people might not understand this, and I don't know if you can speak much on it. We'll quit after this. Justin Pearson. Little polarizing of a guy. Fascinating activist, though. His hallway speeches are...
Oh my God, like...
They are... But when it comes to being a Democrat, I think a lot of people believe that he is like a diehard Democrat, but I don't think a lot of people understand, because of social media and things, that he's a pretty far right-leaning Democrat.
Oh, interesting.
Right? You didn't know this?
No. I mean, what makes you say that?
It's the church side.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
Yeah.
you're using different language. So I will say that Memphis has a legacy of like a more conservative Democratic Party.
Yes.
And that's why someone like me, I could never be a state rep from Memphis. Like,
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but I think
Yeah.
the language that you're using is different.
Yeah.
So maybe he's taken more conservative votes than you would expect. Okay.
Yes, totally. And it's surprised me just every time I see his name pop up. It's like, man, really? But I think.
But he's also taken really hard hits when it comes to felonies. Like, he's someone, I came into the seat being like, I'm never going to vote to enhance a felony or like create a felony, right? Because it takes voting rights away. And it's just a way to satiate the prison industrial pipeline.
Same.
And he's taken hits where he's the only one. So it's like, and I will also say, for example, this year, I was not paying attention. I was talking to someone and I voted no against the liquor bill. And it's like, I had a bunch of, it passed, but like I had a bunch of restaurants apply for liquor licenses under this bill. And I was just yapping with, Bob Freeman and like, so there's.
Bob, it's your fault.
Yeah. But there's also like, it's just chaotic. So I'd be interested to see this vote. And it's also like, I understand that like his district's very different than mine.
Yes.
My district is like,
Wild East Nashville district. There are wild girls over there.
oh my God. Like, I remember during the immigration fight last year, there was a protest happening in a committee room. And I walked in to present a bill. And like, I look around, I'm like, Joyce? And I'm like, Sarah? And it's like all of my constituents that are getting hauled out by state troopers. I'm like, okay, well. So that's so funny. But yeah, it's, and I think that like people think that we vote with our party, but it's like we vote with our district. And I've taken, I have changed.
Should.
I'm a legislator that I listen to my constituents, and I also I like changing my mind about things. And I try to model that behavior because there's so little of it at the legislature. Like, if you give me facts, or if there's new information or a constituency that's going to put pressure on me, like, I love that. I love to change my mind. So, yeah.
Yeah, 99% of the time I've been stonewalled up there, and not by your party.
Like, what if you walked into an office and someone said like, hey, I read a book over the summer or met someone that changed my mind about this, and now I'm willing to have a conversation. How refreshing that would be. Yeah. But it doesn't happen. So,
yeah.
All right, how do you close it up, Matt? I wish we talked to Matt, our producer, more. I think that would have been kind of fun.
Thanks to Matt, the producer.
Do we need to say our sponsors?
Yeah. Thanks to you in part to Turk Chaser Club for bringing us this wonderful vaporizer here today.
Oh.
Aftyn doesn't vaporize, but if she did,
guys.
she would use it. Yeah. We're still legal, As a matter of fact, we could have all that. We just couldn't do anything with it. We're smoking CBG only. We'll have a disclaimer at the beginning.
What's up, guys? This episode's sponsored by BBXLG, a brand focused on quality and consistency, doing the right things the right way. They've been strong supporters of the culture and what we've been building here at Joint Efforts. If you're tapped into the community, you've probably already seen their work, and if not, now's the time to get familiar. If you're local, check out the Green Note Market here in Nashville, happening every Monday at Vinyl Lounge. It's a great place to connect with vendors, relax, and hang out with the culture and community that you love. BBXLG is always going to be in the mix with that. We super appreciate BBXLG for backing the show. Tap in, hit the link in the bio, get to their Instagram, their website, and all that good stuff. Thank you, guys.